Good morning, Cecil. How are you?
Morning, Cecil.
Hey, coaches. How are you?
We're fine.
We're good. Cecil, I don't want to beat this baseball thing to death, but we've seen programs where the season hadn't gone well, and there's probably been some stuff off the field. There's been a lot of negativity around a program, but usually about a week or two after the season, kind of the stuff goes away. And the next year comes, and they start judging you based on what's going on then. If a guy starts winning, honestly, they start to like him a little better. Have you ever seen negativity like this maybe around a program that fast? And was that pretty much what made Greg Byrne pull the trigger? Just felt like for the stability of the program long term, he felt like he needed to make a change.
Yeah, I think that Greg had an opportunity to talk to Greg Byrne. Too many Gregs. Had an opportunity to talk to some of the players, get their feedback on things, and sort of understand. It makes a difference, and both of y'all know this. Normally, if you get hired, the AD that hired you is going to be there a year later. You know, you're not going to have that change. So whatever else, and I'm certainly not saying that Greg Byrne didn't give Greg Goff a chance, but he didn't hire him. It wasn't his guy, and so you've got to, as Greg Byrne, you're sitting there and evaluating. Well, do I think that this guy can get the job done over the next 4 or 5 years? Which is the evaluation that had he hired the coach. But this next coach, he'll do all that evaluation beforehand. So I think that was part of it. It's just an unusual dynamic for there to be an athletic director change, and so you don't automatically have that support in the administrative building. You know, the record was not good. I think people expected that the record would not be great, but it was not good, and there was just a lot of negativity, as you say, just a atmosphere that it was going to be hard next year or the year after to dispel. Ultimately, if you can win, you know, you can survive anything.
Sure.
Winning will get you through anything. But I just don't know that Greg Byrne was convinced that they were going to win. And then he had to make a decision: am I going to invest another year and do this, another 2 years and do this, and we'll be, you know, further into we'll still be rebuilding when I have to do it 2 years down the road. So I think he felt like the time was best, and it's difficult. But that's part two. You know, some schools, like it or not, don't have the resources to pay a guy off for 4 years. Alabama does. So I just think that for a variety of reasons, Greg Byrne felt like he'd be more comfortable with a coach that he had vetted, he had evaluated, whoever that's going to be. I don't know who they're going to hire, and decided to make the move now. You know, rather than seeing what would happen in a year or 2 years. And frankly, the reason you make this move is you think it won't be any better, if not worse, 2 years down the road. So we'll see. You can never predict the future, but and I'm really cautious about. I'm generally, I'll be perfectly honest. Generally, I'm not in favor. I don't think it's right to not give a guy, at least a recruiting class. You know, see what he can bring in. But these were unique circumstances, as Greg Byrne said.
Well, I know Dad's got plenty to ask you, but I want to. I want to let the fans know, and I got to imagine the administration knew that he was going to change his roster. So he started bringing those guys in, and maybe he didn't say it the right way, but we all know now coaches, we've had some basketball guys leave. Now, Avery probably did it in a more diplomatic way. We've had football guys that have been told, hey, you're probably not going to play here. You need to go somewhere else.
Usually the first step.
Yeah,
first of all, the rule's relatively new, and baseball kind of got stuck with the rule. It's really a football rule. People would complain, and it's generated more so in the Big Ten. They say, the SEC guys, they're cutting these guys. They're only having a one-year scholarship. And so they went to this 4-year scholarship thing, because once one team starts to do it in recruiting, then everybody's going to do it. So but baseball is different than football or basketball, because that 11.7 doesn't even cover your full roster anyway.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you recruit a high school kid and you give him 25%. You give him books and meals or whatever, however that breaks down, and you're stuck with that for 3 more years if he wants to hold you to it. Now, coach can go to a kid and say, I can't cut you, I can't take away your books and your meals, but you're not going to play. You're not going to touch a bat for 3 more years. If you want to stay for books and meals, that's what it'll be. Most kids want to play.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against the rules in doing it in that way. But you can't, under the new rule, the January 2016 rule, you can't, or 2015, excuse me, you can't just go in there and say, I'm taking it away.
Yeah,
you
well,
can't go in there and say, you're not playing.
I guess in his defense, I think people got up in arms saying he was running guys off. Well, all coaches across the country run guys off. So I think when it's going negative, you just want to pounce on the guy about everything. But there's people that run guys off or try to get them in situations where they can play all the time. Now, did he do it in a diplomatic way? I don't know. I wasn't in the room. Probably not. It's because some of the parents and all got mad. But I just wanted people to understand that this happens everywhere. It even happens over here at the university. These other guys, they move guys along, so that's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Every baseball program in the SEC, every basketball program in the SEC, if they have a kid who, for whatever reason, they recruit past him, let's just say in basketball, they've had a big recruiting year. They've recruited past him. He's not going to beat these other guys out for the most part. A coach will be honest with him. A coach, at that point, you're just being honest. You're going to say, son, I just don't think you're going to play. And even, there might be a rare kid who's all right, well, I'll stay, be a practice player and so forth. But 99% of the kids you have in football, baseball, basketball, they want to play. They want the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of places they can transfer, still get an education, get more playing time. It happens in all the sports. One other thing, the rules so arcane. It's certainly the coach's responsibility, certainly Greg Goff's responsibility to know every rule. But when you say, at Louisiana Tech, where he came from, or at Alabama State or Jacksonville or Troy, you can still cut those kids. It's just a group of 5. It's just the 85 schools in what the NCAA calls Tier 1, the power conferences in Notre Dame, that rule applies to. You've got that protection if you're at Alabama or Auburn, but you don't have it if you're at Troy or South Alabama. Yeah. Actually, kind of if somebody wants to do it that way, it's kind of an advantage for Troy, South Alabama, Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, it is. Dad, you can even relate to that. You tried to take Jim Farmer's scholarship, and he looked at you and said, I'm going to start on your team next year, and then come back. And actually, Craig Dudley got hurt, and he actually did start, didn't he, Dad?
Yeah, well, he almost wanted. He thought he wanted to go to Troy, but I wasn't at the bus to wish him goodbye, so he didn't go.
And just the last time, these rules get some kind of bit. Now, if a kid doesn't go to class, has a 0.0 GPA, you can remove him from scholarship if he gets involved. He's locked up down at Metro 3 times in a season. You can remove him. I mean, you don't have to keep a kid no matter what he does, as long as he's following the rules, making academic progress. That's where this rule applies.
That.
The question I know it's been hashed before, and I haven't heard the answer, as to why baseball is treated so unfairly with numbers of scholarships. Why is it 11 point whatever it is 7? Why isn't it a situation to where they get 15 scholarships or 20 scholarships? What's the reason for that?
Well, y'all ever had Ron Polk on your show?
We have, actually.
Yeah, we've had him on. He
can do a series on that. I think generally the 2 reasons are there are a lot of schools, particularly a lot of schools in the Northeast that traditionally have baseball, which is a traditional American sport that don't want to spend a tremendous amount of money on scholarships, and then it does help with your Title IX balance, where you try and have gender equity, where you have as many scholarships or proportionally as many scholarships for women as you do men.
Sure.
So I think those are the two main reasons. SEC schools would be more than happy to have 15, 6. They'd pay for them and have no problem with it if they could. So as it is, though, it just, particularly based on people say, well, why is, softball is not the same. You don't hear about it in softball. Well, softball, you're carrying 3 pitchers, maybe 4 at the very most. Most teams 3. And in baseball, you got to carry 10 pitchers. You got to have 10 of your kids that are on scholarship. Got to pretty much to get you through a series in midweek and allowing that somebody's going to get injured. You got to start out with 10 pitchers. So nobody's getting much of a full ride there. So it's there are teams that can. And I'm not going to beat the lottery drum. That's certainly in some cases that's incrementally an advantage. There are geographical advantages. I was at the College World Series one year, and we talked to the guys from Cal State Fullerton, and unless they could just get a great left-handed pitcher or a great power-hitting outfield, a first-round draft choice outfielder, they didn't recruit outside Orange County, California, because they don't have to. There's more than enough kids, and a lot of them are on various state scholarships in California, so that helps. But with that said, Alabama has some advantages too. They have a great facility now. They fund their program very well. There's no shortage of money. It's just that you got to either really be smart with your scholarships or find some legal way to supplement them.
And Greg Byrne, I thought he did a good job in the press conference. I thought he was very open and fair with every answer. And people say, well, it's not a very good baseball job. They won't be able to go attract. I'll just throw the Corbin guy at Vanderbilt, but I think they could. They just going to have to decide how much money are we willing to spend. Everybody's got a price. So if they want to go spend $1 million on their baseball coach and go get somebody to blow their socks away that will win the press conference, I think Alabama could do that. Are they willing to do something like that, Cecil, with baseball?
I think they'll spend, but again, I agree to a point that everybody's got a price, but now I'm going to say this, and I'm going to use Coach Saban as the analogy. Even at $20 million, Kansas come in here with $15, $20 million, but if he looks at that thing and says, I can do well, I can improve your program, but I'm not going to win 4 national championships at Kansas. It's just not going to happen. So I'm not going to be interested in doing it. It's more than monetary at that level. There's just not a comparison. Or you can say salary. I'm going to spend on salary, but how much is Kansas going to spend on facilities? How much are they going to spend on recruiting? How much are they going to really invest? Where Alabama's investing far beyond Nick Saban's salary, which is pretty much a market value salary to me, even though it's the highest in the country. He's performing the best in the country. But Nick wants a new dining hall, thinks that helps the program. They're building a new dining hall. He wants the weight room a certain way. That weight room's going to be a certain way. He wants the jet to go recruit a kid in Hawaii, visit him 3 or 4 times. He has the jet to go recruit a kid in Hawaii. And they're not the only program. Clemson does that, and Texas will do it, and everybody will do it. But you got to know that you're going to get that kind of infrastructure investment. Plus, the scholarship deal is just something that a lot of coaches would have to have explained to them. And so they're going to be told, you're going to compete against LSU in Florida, and they're going to be able, through various legal ways, to have more kids available to them.
There's the problem
that coaches look at.
Yeah, that is a problem. But I'm saying, and what he says is right about Coach Saban, but baseball guys aren't making that much. So you go to, they're making a lot, but But you go tell a guy you're going to pay him $1.5 million, you can get his attention. I mean, I can get guys' attention now if they want to. I don't want to hear that they can't go hire whoever because they got plenty of money over there now if they want to do it.
Talk around everything, but when you're coaching a sport and you're going against people that have more scholarships, you got a hard time.
Yeah, it's hard. There ain't no doubt it's hard.
It is, and you say, well, I'll go get the guy at LSU. Well, he's a great coach. He's done a great, he's done a great job. But how much of it is the coach, and how much of it is the program and the play?
Yeah, good point.
And in football, Coach Saban, Urban Meyer, if you're big enough to get them, if you're willing to step up to that plate, they're going to be successful. But beyond that, it's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know that the guy's going to come in and turn it around. And here's an example. Michigan loves Jim Harbaugh, paid huge money for Jim Harbaugh, and they're 3 years and they haven't won anything yet.
Yeah.
Haven't won anything. Now, I think they'll eventually win, but there's no automatic fix. And there's no guarantee in football or basketball other than, I think in basketball, if you went and got Bill Self, you felt like you could step up more than Kansas that spends huge amounts on basketball. Bill Self would be a successful coach for you. But it's rare to roll those dice and know you're going to, roll 7 every time.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, if you took Nick Saban and took him to Duke, he might not have the success. So he's still the great coach that he is. He's just not. So that's a good point there, Cecil. Cecil, as always. Dad, anything else for Cecil before we let him go?
Appreciate him being on. Thank you.
Great stuff, Cecil. Thank you very much.
Thanks,